Hi, we are here with...
C. Andrew Nelson. Look, it's me again.
Yes.
Actor, visual effects artist, animator, voiceover artist, and Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yes, but this time we're at a video game con.
That's right, because I've spent many years in the video game industry.
So we got to talk about the video games
Absolutely.
instead, because we can't talk about Darth Vader because he's a comic book.
Well, but
we got to talk about Luke, because you did Luke's voice.
I did Luke's voice, but I'm also Darth Vader in Rebel Assault 2 game.
Oh, really?
And in the Dark Forces game.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
So we can talk about Darth
We
Vader.
can talk about him.
So,
Yes.
what computer games have you done? Let's talk about some of those.
Oh my gosh.
So I know
The first game I worked on, I'm not even going to mention all the Lucas stuff. The first game that I worked on was a game called Wrath of the Gods. And it was a game that was made by a company called, I think it was Illumina, was the name, or something along that line. But it was then bought by Mindscape, that was then bought by EA. But it was a game, it was a point-and-click adventure game that used full motion video, or as full as the motion could get back in 1992.
It's amazing when it was full motion then compared to today.
Yeah, no, it was a fun game. It was a very humorous game that taught about Greek mythology. And so I was Skyron, the Greek god, very rough, and he kicks people off of cliffs. And so it was all blue screen stuff. And
you were a full actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought you were doing a voice for it.
I actually did voices for it too, because they had someone playing Zeus who looked great as Zeus, but he had kind of a high, squeaky voice like this, and so I filled in as his voice. So.
Like the Lone Ranger in The Legend of the Lone Ranger, where they had to dub his voice with Stacy Keach.
That's right, it was Stacy Keach, wasn't it? Yes. So yeah, and then I also played a Cyclops in that game. So that was the very first video game or computer game that I worked on. But then after that, the next year in '93, that's when I started at LucasArts. So some of the games that I've worked on include Day of the Tentacle, Sam & Max Hit the Road.
I know Dark Forces over there.
Dark Forces.
It makes me regret not bringing it. If I knew that, I would have brought my old Dark Forces game still with the box.
Next time, I'll sign it for you.
Yes.
How about that? I worked on Rebel Assault 2, The Dig. I'm cheating. I'm looking at my table here, all the photos that I've got.
It's a cheat sheet, like in acting.
Right.
They have their screen that
my
tells
cue
you.
cards over here. Full Throttle, Shadows of the Empire.
You do any of the Indiana Jones? Any of the Indiana Jones ones?
Yes, I worked on Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. It was the very last game that I worked on at LucasArts before I left there and went to Industrial Light and Magic. So it was kind of interesting because the thing that I was doing animated textures. So they had to be tiling, cycling, animated textures that were 16 pixels by 16 pixels.
I remember
tiny
those
little
days.
things, yeah. And so I went from doing that to doing 4K matte paintings for the ground battle on Naboo for Phantom Menace. So it was like a huge leap from little tiny thing to huge canvas like that. So it was a breath of fresh air, definitely. But I had a great time at LucasArts, all the games that I worked on.
Voices at LucasArts too?
Yes, I did. I did Luke Skywalker's voice for several LucasArts games, including the X-Wing Collector CD, and also the Super NES Empire Strikes Back. And I did a voice for a game called Mortimer and the Riddles of the Medallion.
Can you do any of those voices for us right now?
I could do that. I could do that voice probably. I did the voice of a dog.
Okay.
Don't let me have do Luke. I'm not warmed up enough to do Luke, but I can do the dog.
Let's hear the dog.
The dog was this. It was a goofy dog character, and it was like, "Hi, I'm a dog." So weird.
It's one of those things you want to shoot in a game, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. But you don't shoot the dog. The dog sets you off on your journey in this game. But it was a fun game.
So how many fun lines did it have then? It was, oh, I'm a dog.
Yeah.
That's it?
No, it was a whole big long spiel. I just don't remember the rest of the speech. I had 3 hours of sleep last night. I'm happy if I know my own name.
Oh, wow.
So, yes.
So the force is strong with you.
Something is. It's certainly not coffee.
Not the free Red Bull they've been passing around?
No, I don't do caffeine. Caffeine free since '93.
So, out of all the games you worked on as a graphic artist, which one was your favorite?
Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Okay.
The reason I liked that one so much is, one, it had a really great storyline. It was a good continuation of the story from the original Dark Forces, but it was almost like working on a feature film because it has a half hour of full motion video in it, and we had to do things that had never been done digitally as far as Star Wars effects were done. I and another guy, Michael Levine, who was my Jedi Master who trained me in visual effects at LucasArts, we developed how to do digital lightsabers because it had always been done as an optical process back in the day for films, using animation cells and shooting it on an animation stand and combining it with everything with an optical printer. So it was always an optical effect, but we had to recreate that whole look, but do it digitally. And so it's like, how do you do that? And it was a wonderful challenge to do that. Also, it's just so many different things that we had to do. Like I said, it was a half hour of full motion video. There were 350 effect shots in the whole thing. So that's a lot, even for a feature film. That would be a lot. In half an hour, 350 effect shots. So it was crazy.
I think that's more than most feature films.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot. Although films are getting more and more effects in them nowadays,
yeah.
You know, and things that don't even seem like an effects film if you think about it. Like you look at a film like The King's Speech, from a few years ago, you don't really think of it as an effects film, but there's 400 effect shots in that film.
And the 400 effects are all the scenery that they're walking on, the
exactly,
set.
Absolutely.
To go back in time.
Absolutely, yeah. So Jedi Knight was just great. We had a great team. It was basically almost like 2/3 of the company were working on it. It was a massive project. But it was just fun, and also I'm in the game too as the hands and feet of the main character, Kyle Katarn, every time there's close-ups, because we needed close-ups, and you can't go drag the actor back out again and get him to do it. And then I'm also the hands and feet of Jarek, the Dark Jedi, the villain of the game. So it's kind of interesting to be. It's just another bit of Star Wars trivia that
okay.
I end up being part of.
Let's now move on to what was your favorite voice-acted role in the movie.
Favorite voice acting role. I mean, Luke was fun. There was a character I did for there was a TV series on PBS called Between the Lions, which was a wonderful show. Some of the writers of Sesame Street kind of got fed up with Sesame Street not really teaching much. It was like they taught you how to feel good about yourself. But well, I remember when I was a kid watching Sesame Street, I felt good about myself because they were teaching me how to read and write and do arithmetic. Well, Between the Lions, what came out of that, and these writers became producers of the show because they wanted to teach phonics. They wanted to do it in a fun way. And the great thing about the show was it reminded me of like a lot of the old cartoons where you have at one level, here's the stuff that the kids can enjoy, but on the other level, there's a whole bunch more that the adults, the parents, could laugh at as well. And I did the voice of a character called Inky the Octopus, who was a surfer dude octopus.
Can you do his voice?
Not right now. That one takes a little bit to work up to because you have to remember that you're an octopus, but you're a surfer dude, but you're doing country western music, or you're doing hip hop, but you're still an octopus. And it's like, how do you wrap your head around that? And you look like a fool doing it. I mean, that's the thing that's great about doing voice work is it doesn't matter, what you look like. You can play any kind of character. It doesn't matter how you look while you're doing it because,
As long as you can pull it off.
As long as you can pull it off, yeah. So.
If it means that you roll on the floor, just get in the role.
Yeah. But I love doing voice work. It's probably my favorite type of acting.
A lot of actors have been saying that too.
Yeah.
If you hear interviews, they prefer they don't have to put makeup on. They can do one shot. The only thing they don't like is reading all the lines by themselves.
Yeah, that's the sad part. So you do end up, doing it just by yourself. Usually.
Because playing off of someone helps create the emotional level.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But I'm at this point I'm used to it. So.
Yeah.
But and also it's a lot nicer. It's not cutthroat like a lot of on-camera stuff. You're looking at everybody around you as your rival. And in voice acting, it's like voice actors, we get along. And, voice actors will recommend other voice actors for jobs, which doesn't happen too much with the on-camera stuff.
I notice it happens with the sci-fi environment of acting.
That's true.
Because there's a lot of sci-fi actors in the modern day that you think are gone, but they appear in a lot of B-movies rotating or internet films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if you were on Star Trek, which kind of makes your career, but it also stagnates you because you're always known as that character.
Very definitely, yeah.
And that's one of the things that you've seen a lot of actors do that. Like even like Richard Hatch is doing internet Klingons that he went from Captain Apollo to Lord of the Klingon Empire.
Yeah. And it's also, you want to work. You want to be able to do fun stuff on camera. And when the opportunity comes, and especially if it's not, if it's something that's being done under like a union contract, then why not?
Yeah. But any last words for people who want to get into voice acting, either in, because we've talked about voice acting, but either in video games, let's say?
I would say, first of all, you've got to get together a demo reel of some sort. For most voice actors, I recommend doing 2 demo reels, one for just like straight announcing and that sort of thing, and then another one for character work. And I would also recommend that people study acting, because people think
the word studying scares people away.
It's called voice acting. It's not called funny voices.
And most people think it's funny voices.
Yeah, they do.
And because it's like, I could do a funny voice.
Yeah,
Can you?
Don't show me, don't demonstrate for me your SpongeBob voice, because Tom Kenny's got that job. You're not getting it. Nobody else is getting it.
And until Tom Kenny retires or passes away is the only way you're going to get it.
Exactly. So you have to be able to do lots of different voices, or if you only have one voice, like a guy like Gilbert Gottfried's got one voice, do it well. And be able to play lots of characters with that one voice, which he's able to do. So those are the things I recommend.
Because when you go from the Aflac duck to Plastic Man, that's a big jump.
Sure it is, but he's able to work it because he's an actor.
And the funny part is, he started out as an on-stage comedian.
Oh yeah.
Where he learned how to use his voice properly.
Absolutely.
Because it's like on stage, it's like solo Shakespeare. You've got to entertain an audience for a half hour to 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, and that's where I started. I started in theater and also stand-up. So
so you know what I'm talking about here, about the stand-up part.
Oh yeah.
That if you can't get the audience like professional wrestlers to get an emotional response, you're not doing something right.
Exactly. Absolutely. So put together some demo reels and get them where people can hear them. So you can post them on YouTube, you can post them on a website, you can post them on SoundCloud, wherever, and get them out there for people to see, and then network. And the first voice acting gig I did was I was working in an accounting office for a big freight forwarding company, big international freight forwarding company. It was my day job because I needed money, and so I found out that they were doing some kind of little training tape, and I said, I can do the narration for you. And then from that got me something else.
Yeah.
And LucasArts, I did part of the phone tree, for if you called up and you tried, you needed to get.
And this goes back to what I was talking about. Talked with the guy who did Lord Zedd's voice. I'm not remembering it. He was pointing out that a majority of a good voice actor's work isn't doing characters.
Right.
It's voiceover work for stuff you never see, like for businesses and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And he goes, that's where Axel something, I'm not remembering the last name, but he voiced Lord Zedd, a character in Robotech. You recognize his voice. He's very distinct, classic voice actor. But he was telling me all the stuff about it. He says most of my voice acting stuff is for businesses, for companies, not cartoons. Like everyone comes in and goes, I want to do cartoons.
Right.
I want to come in and do the big characters.
Sure. Cartoons are like the holy grail, but there's so much other work out there, and most of the other work is, things like that. And
even when you stop to see William Shatner's work, a lot of it wasn't glorified voice work.
Oh yeah.
It was SeaWorld or The Whale. It was public PBS shows.
Sure.
And it's like, just because William Shatner had a market voice after Star Trek, he was smart enough to utilize it correctly and not say, I'm Captain Kirk.
Yes.
I'm a big star.
Right. I'm
only going to do big star stuff.
It's everybody wants to work, and everybody wants to do something. So yeah, sure, of course.
But nice talking with you.
It's good talking with you.
Until next time.
Remember, the force is strong with you. Don't doubt it. It is. The
awesome.
Force is strong with you.